Hey everybody, it's Greg Harrelson here in sunny, I think it's sunny today, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Of course, I'm here again on Tuesday when we get together each week and I do a live coaching call around some topic, lead generation, real geeks, PPC, you name it. We're going to talk about it today. We are going to talk about, as you can see in the title here, how many buyers really convert. And I want to say it's a lot more than you think. But I want to talk about the truth about lead conversion and talk about how many leads we should be converting. So I was just double checking to make sure I am live, and I am. So we'll keep moving here. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to to reach out, put a comment in there. I'll see that. I won't necessarily know who's commenting, so I might not be able to mention you by name unless you put that in the comment section, because I am using StreamYard. I'm not looking at Facebook right this moment, but I will answer any questions that you that you may have. In the meantime, I also want you to remember you can go to rgmastery.com. I know that was just put into the comments, and realgeeksmastery.com is basically that domain will take you to an explanation of my coaching that I do. I do some coaching on Real Geeks. I call it a mastery program because what I'm doing is I'm actually sharing with all of you what we do internally in our offices with our 300 agents, how we manage Real Geeks and generate over 1,000 transactions a year. I'm actually distributing roughly 1,500 leads per month via our Real Geeks websites. So I do a high volume. Of course, it's a big operation, but what's important to know about that, and not to impress you about my numbers, but to just impress upon you, I do a lot of business through Real Geeks. So we've had to come up with systems, structures, different workflow programs, advanced search filters. There's some uniqueness to the way we do things. And in the Real Geeks Mastery coaching, what I'm doing is I'm kind of opening up the hood or opening the curtains and showing you exactly what I'm doing. In most cases, I'm actually giving you the identical workflows that we use. So go to RG Mastery if you'd like some additional information on that. But let's talk about the truth about lead generation. I'm going to get some notes in front of my eyes here, and so I can share with you what what I have for you today. So the truth about lead conversion. Now that the challenge is I'm sitting here saying that I know the truth. Okay, so I want to be humble here. Of course, I don't know that any of us know the truth, but we do know some facts, and I want to share with you some facts. But before I start on that, I want to say first, the term lead conversion is described in many ways. It's a little bit confusing. See, lead conversion should be defined, in my opinion, as the total leads that you've captured and then divide it by the total leads that you've converted, meaning converted to a contract and a closing. But it's total leads captured divided by the total leads converted. That's what lead conversion is for my definition. And most of the time when you're reading things about what are the average lead conversion, that's how they're calculating that ratio. Now, too often, there will be companies out there. It's usually real estate agents or teams. They like to kind of boost their numbers. They don't like maybe what their real conversion is. So what they'll do is they'll say their conversion ratio is maybe 15%. And that's a pretty high for online leads, especially buyer leads, or seller leads online. 50% conversion, if you're calculating total leads captured to the leads that close, 15% would be an extraordinary number that really is off the charts. There's nobody reporting that number that has validated that number. But there are some people that sometimes will say that that's their conversion. And when you see that, I'm not saying that they're lying. By no means am I intended to make that accusation. But what I am saying is that they're probably calculating the number a little bit different. Some people are going to calculate how many leads that they talk to. So they may have captured 100 leads, but they only talked to 16 of them. And then out of the 16 of them, they converted some number. So they're basing their formula or their ratio on a lower number, which is contacted, versus the bigger number captured. But the reason why I make this distinction is because when you're buying leads, even if you're generating leads organically on your Real Geeks website, it still costs you money to build your site. So there is a cost per lead, whether or not you're buying leads through PPC, whether you're personally generating leads through prospecting, or whether you're receiving them organically on your website. There's a cost in time to actually put yourself in a position to win a lead. Okay. But just for confusion, just to kind of like share with you what I refer to as lead conversion, it's total leads captured divided by the total leads converted, meaning converted, contracted, and closed. Now, there's a lot of information out on the internet. You can do your own research, but I just saw an article, and I have it in my notes, that the National Association of Realtors disclosed in December 2023. So this is a recent date, just 2 months ago. They published that the rate is between 0.5% to 1.2%. Basically, it means that for every 200 leads you can obtain, you only convert one or two of these to a customer or client. So they're saying that the conversion ratio is between 0.5% to 1.2. So low end is 0.5 and the high end is 1.2. And that's what they're concluding as National Association of Realtors, that the current conversion rate is. Now, I actually believe that to be accurate. I really do. Now, I don't know what data they used, but I do know that that seems to be a fairly accurate number when I do my research. Now, there's a difference also in what converted and what an agent converted. And there's something that we need to talk about. There lies the truth of conversion. The truth of conversion is that more leads are converted than an individual agent is converting. So if an agent actually generates or receives 100 leads and they convert one, then their conversion is 1%. But how many of the other 99 that they didn't convert did someone else convert? So you have true conversion. What is the conversion of the 100? And then you have what is the conversion of the agent? Those are going to be two totally different numbers. And that's what I want to talk about today. I also looked at another article. I can't remember exactly who published the article, but I did look it up. It was not that old, maybe 6 months old. And it says, out of a random 100 people, on average, 5 people will buy a house in that year. That's 5%. And then in the second year, another 5 people will actually, out of that same 100 will buy, which says in a 24-month period of time, 10% of those leads convert. Now, remember, the average agent is converting at 1% or less on average. But what was convertible was around 10%. I have looked at different lead companies, and I have done auditing on all the leads that we've got. Like I did a sample of a 5,000 lead audit, and guess what we found? Around 12% of those leads converted. Not in the first year, and around the first 24 months. Around 12% converted. They didn't convert with us. Some of them did, but most of them converted with our competition. That's the truth about lead conversion. There's a company out there that I've seen a lot of people say a lot of negative things about. I've seen few people say positive things, and I have to be careful on social media because it seems like negative comments are much more common and they're louder than positive comments on social media. Like if somebody's doing really good with a lead source, they don't seem to post about it. But if somebody's doing bad with a lead source, they post about it, right? And so I'm always careful. But, so I'll throw out, I was looking at, sold.com, and I looked at 1,000, I think 1,144 leads. And out of those, around 100, I think it was 140, 100 or it could have been 120 listed or sold in 12 months. That's nearly 10%. I've actually worked closely with a Fellow and have databases in Fellow, which is kind of like a a home bot. And there's reporting that I can look at, and the reporting in my database is that about 10% do something in 24 months. So the truth about lead conversion is this, my truth. You may reject me, but my truth is this. My truth is that about 10% is convertible. So what we need to be doing is we need to ask ourselves with honesty, what is your personal conversion ratio? Maybe it's 1%, maybe it's 2%, maybe it's 3%. 3% would be pretty good in our industry. But whatever it is, you need to compare it to 10%. So if your conversion rate right now is 1%, then just know that really what's potentially going to convert is 10%. So if you're 1% and it's 10%, then here's what you know. You know that you could do some things differently to increase your conversion ratio. So I always say, don't look at there, like people say, what's the best converting source? The truth is that almost every source is going to convert around 10%. Another truth is that no agent is converting at 10%. Another truth is most agents are converting at less than 1%. So what are they really complaining about? What are we complaining about? We're complaining about our conversion, but we're blaming the source. The truth is, it has less to do with the source and it has more to do with our systems. Now, I'm not trying to preach to you or come down on you by any means. I'm trying to inspire you by letting you know what the true opportunity is. Like the reality may be you're at 1%, but the opportunity is 10%. So there's a big gap there. There's a lot of opportunity for growth. You could easily go to 2%, 3%, and maybe even as high as 4% because there's plenty there to be converted. So for you to go from 1% to 3%, very possible. You're not going to get there by changing lead sources. You're going to get there by changing your processes. So I see too many people hopping from one source to another source to another source to another source, thinking that one's going to convert. And all they're doing is starting over and getting to the same place, starting over and then get to the 1% again, start over and then get to the 1%. That if they stop hopping from source to source and put your attention for the next 6 months on your system and processes for how you're approaching the leads that you're capturing, you can easily double your conversion, double your ROI, your profit off of these leads by doing that alone. Sometimes we need to work on our business, meaning like I suggest, and I've coached, and even in Real Geeks Mastery, I coach this. I say, hey, look, why don't you just, after today's call, between now and the next call, because Real Geeks Mastery is a weekly call with me. It's live and it's a small group. So you all get to ask questions and we get to have dialogue with me and my staff who helps me with Real Geeks. And but one of the things that I suggest is how about take an hour in the next 7 days? How about schedule an hour and show up for the schedule, show up for the hour and do nothing more than work on how you can improve the process of following up, calling the leads faster and following up with them more frequently, getting higher engagement, getting more people on the phone. Like write those things down. What can you do? And then execute on those activities. Because if you'll execute on those activities, that's the fastest way to double your conversion. And I can say double your conversion because most people are below 1%. In my opinion, just to kind of put it on record, is I believe that a good converting agent is at 3%. That's a good conversion. in our industry. Less than 1 is normal. Good is 3. You 2.5 to 3.5, that's pretty darn good. But you can get better. You know, a great converting 4%, 4.5%, that is fantastic. And truly, if you actually are doing the numbers and figuring out the ratio correctly, there's very few people that are above 4.5% in conversion. 5 or 6, it's possible, it's rare. 10 is the opportunity. So remember, wherever you are, there's room to grow. There's a lot of room to grow. So to me, that's the truth about leads and lead conversion. Now, how do we improve our conversion? You know, because all of us have room for improvement, even myself and my team, we have room for improvement. Shoot, I was, one of my agents was telling me the other day that, that that we had this lead in Real Geeks from 2 years ago. And we looked at the lead and saw that it was assigned to a real estate agent, 2 years ago, 18 months ago to 2 years. And that lead was worked pretty aggressively by that agent, meaning I can see the notes in our CRM that they were calling them and leaving notes frequently. They didn't really get that lead to engage that much. And then that agent dropped it, decided they were just going to abandon the lead. So we reassigned that lead to somebody else probably 6 months ago. And that agent made a few attempts, didn't really get anything. And that agent abandoned it. And then we had a new agent, literally brand new, calling through our Real Geeks pond, crossed paths with that lead, made 3 attempts to get them on the phone, got them on the phone, set an appointment, made a sale. Their first sale, their first showing, not showing, their first day of showings. They showed them multiple properties in one day, but they worked with them one day, brand new agent, never made a sale, and actually sold that property, that buyer a property. Now, I don't think that brand new agent necessarily had great skills. I'm not saying that they had poor skills, but it wasn't great skills that got that deal. It was the fact that he was in the right place at the right time. Unfortunately, the 2 previous agents decided that they didn't want to follow up with somebody that long, so they lost a $10,000 commission. And I know most of you say, well, we don't have time to follow up that long. Well, if you use automation properly, you can actually make the buyer feel like you're following up, yet you're leveraging technology. You can have it showing up in your calendar to call them every 3 months and make that call. Send them a text. Send them a link of a property. Say, hey, I don't know if you're still looking, but I saw this link. It's similar to some things that you looked at in the past. What do you think about the kitchen? Send them a link. I'm telling you, they're going to respond. You can take a non-engaged lead and you send them that text, they're going to respond. Now you just turn them into an engaged lead. Or another thing we coach in Real Geeks Mastery is how to each week you send them a report on the top 10 new listings to hit the market every week. So you could take that link to a page you built on your website with the top 10 listings to hit the market, and you just paste that link into your text, send that to them. You're going to get engagement, drive them back to the website. Now they're back engaged. Little things like that can keep these people engaged with you. So then you'll be in the right place at the right time. Top producers, by the way, that are doing a lot of deals, it's not because they're winning more business than an average producer. Top producers are losing less business than the average producer. I'm going to repeat that. Top producers are not necessarily winning more business. They're losing less business. They have fewer leads slipping through their hands. They're decreasing their losses. In order to decrease your losses, you've got to use the technology, leverage it, advanced search filters, workflows, sold reports, market activity reports, retargeting, advertising on social media with the same leads that you've already captured, all-day call days on your leads that are disengaged, texting them top 10 listings to hit the market, a link that drives them back to your website, to a page that you built on your website. These are the things. See, how do we improve our conversion? We actually focus on nurturing each lead through these multiple channels that I just shared with you. Another way to improve is you've heard speed to lead. Heck, most coaches are not even coaching speed to lead because agents have just absolutely ignored the whole coaching of speed to lead. And we think that speed to lead means an AI can get to them faster. So therefore, let's hook up an AI or a chat bot or a this bot or a that bot. That's you can see that people that are doing that, in my opinion, we're not seeing a lot of growth in their production. It sounds sexy, but you don't know if it works until a year after. And when I look at these people that are doing all these things and I say, well, what was their production before they started doing it? And now that they've been doing it for 6 months, what is their production? I'm seeing that their needle's not even moving. If it's really working, shouldn't it show up in number of sales? Usually people start talking about how good something's working a week after they start using it. How would they know? See, I like to talk about the truth about lead conversion. I don't have anything sexy to sell you. Improve your outreach. Reach them faster by calling them, not reach them faster by having some automation. Now, I'm pro automation. I even said it in nurturing just a moment ago, but I'm anti autoresponder. I'm anti that. I know we could debate it, we could argue it, and I'm sure each one of us would have good points. But I know the people that are driving their conversion, they're making the actual live call be their main priority before they kick in all the technology. They don't hide behind the technology. Once you activate the technology, you'll stop the live calls. And that conversion has plummeted since then. Use the right communication channels. I say this is like, when you're building workflows, you can use the texting, you could use messaging, you message people, email them, like use different means to reach them. You get a new lead, yeah, sure, text them, kick off a workflow, call them, find them on Facebook and message them if you can find them on Facebook. Go that extra step to reach out to them. If you'll take an extra step that your competition won't take, then you're going to make extra conversion. It's just the way that it's going to work. It'll work that way every single time. And you got to manage your leads more effectively. You got to manage them like, we accumulate a lot of leads nowadays. And as you accumulate too many leads, it's hard to manage them. Like, who do you call there? If you've got 500 or 5,000, you're not going to be able to call them all today. You're not even going to get through them all probably in the next month. So how do you choose who to call and who not to call? How do you choose who to call and who not to call? Well, you use things like advanced search filters to create smart lists on your Real Geeks dashboard. And then every day you look at that smart list and you call everyone in there because those people are engaging based on your rules, depending on what the rules is for your smart list. And again, in Real Geeks Mastery, we talk more about this, but use advanced search filters. That's what you should know. There's plenty of tutorials in the Real Geeks tutorial library on how to set up an advanced search filter. We have a dozen different advanced search filters that are on our dashboard that our leads are actually populating at different times. And then we're making sure that those leads are called. So you want to meet people where they are by calling the ones that are engaging at the moment. Like if somebody's favoriting properties, if somebody's looking at a market activity report, that should all trigger entry into advanced search filter, which then should trigger you calling them in the next, say, 24 hours. That's how we manage leads more effectively. How do we manage a larger database more effectively? We do that by using the advanced search filter components or looking at the live feed. First thing in the morning you come in, you should look at your live feed and see who was on last night, who was searching in the middle of the night, and make sure you make note of that. And those people are called today. And if they don't pick up the phone, you text them a link. Say, hey, I don't know if you saw this property. Heck, you could actually show them, text them a link of one of the properties that they searched last night. And you could say, hey, I don't know if you actually saw this one, but I thought of you when I saw it. Take a look. What do you think? Now all of a sudden they get that text and they text you back. Oh, actually, I saw that one last night. Oh, fantastic. Wow. It's well, it's great. We're both thinking alike. Engagement. I have thought of many ways to increase conversion by sitting down in my office all alone or at Starbucks all alone and for an hour doing nothing more than writing out every idea I could come up with to improve my processes. It takes less time to improve your current processes than it does to try to find which lead source is going to convert at the highest level. Your conversion is influenced by your processes, not the source. Stop hopping, in my opinion. Please, if you want to know more and get some more coaching on how we can help you really drive revenue and build your Real Geeks websites on the back end, help you with your dashboards, help you with advanced search filters and workflows, and more coaching like this that can help you or your team, drive production and turn Real Geeks into an ROI, into an actual investment. Go to rgmastery.com, check me out. There's no contracts. It's very low cost. It's live every week. It's all archived, so you can watch all the videos that I've had. There's over 100 videos in there, I think, that you could watch just right now on day one. Until then, you all go out there, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.